what new risks does machine learning bring to the table? That's a great question, Eduardo.
Yeah, Luke from the community, he make a very nice talk about the MLOps and the manifesto itself. I think there's some other challenges, like for example, in terms of the utilization of the data. Here in Europe, I mean, this cannot be applied by guys from the US or South America or other continents. But here in Europe, for example, we are ruled by GDPR, for example. And I think it's the Recital 71, I guess, that regulates that the right of explanation. So every time that we make some kind of algorithm decision making for any platform that involves some kind of user, the user has the right to receive the explanation. So it means that, for example, in the old traditional software engineering, the thing that I just go to the ifs, nodes, see the rules, and then make the debugging and so on. But some data artifacts, some kind of machine learning models, for example, cannot bring this kind of explainability for you, for example. Like, let's say that you're using some text classification using PyTorch, using VGG16 architecture and so on. You train for, I don't know, 5,000 euros in 4, 5, or 6 GPUs, LinkedIn, and so on. So you cannot explain that. So you cannot use that, because if your company receives some kind of inquiry for this kind of right of explanation, for instance, you are unable to do this. So this is one of the big challenges. The second point, I guess, I think it's the, I think this is a part of the fault of the culture of data science that I see today, is that there's tons of very little hacks, tons of shortcuts in terms of the way that things are done, especially in production, and we are just putting these things in place and doing automatic decisions on top of that. But for example, and because of this very hacking culture, or not very well codified in terms of software engineering practices, for instance, we can let happen, for example, mistakes like the night capital, as I told, for example, some code going to production without a code review. So, and this is very common in the places that the machine learning operations are run by guys that don't have any kind of background in software engineering, for instance. Another challenge, for example, bias. So if your algorithm do some kind of decision that takes into consideration some structural bias, for example, race, for example, sex, gender, for example, sex, gender, or for instance, religion, for example. So your company can be scrutinized by public opinion because of that. And so on, so on, so on. So I think this is basically this is would be the biggest challenge for that machine learning systems are bringing to the table. And on top of that, we are having right now at this time that we are speaking right now, several different bodies of legislators, of congressmen, congresswomen, trying to figure out how to regulate those systems. Because one thing is that when we talk about, for example, some kind of scoring script that do some kind of scoring that it's not related with this business itself, or some kind of recommendations in the very item based or something like this. But another thing is when you do some kind of real scoring, that you have people doing critical decisions, or critical decisions being made by some algorithm that defines the future of someone. For example, one single example of this, for example, YouTube, that do some kind of problems in terms of radicalization, let's put that way. The company was completely scrutinized. So your company is prepared to that, for example? If yes, so you can continue using that. If not, for example, you should be concerned about this new challenge of this that machine learning problems bring to the tables right now for the companies.